What's up guys, Sean here, and in today's video I'm going to be doing a little unboxing with you guys. I got a package in from Gritomatic.com. If you guys aren't familiar with Gritomatic, that is where I purchase most of my sharpening supplies. Or it's at least been where I've purchased most of my sharpening supplies for a little while now. So let's see what is in here. Oh yeah. And today I'm carrying my Spyderco Swish Buoy. This is the Knife Joy exclusive in M390 blade steel, blue anodized titanium contoured scales, frame lock. This is definitely a forever knife. All right, got a box right here. Oh baby. Throwing stuff. Alrighty. Glad this stuff arrived today because that will assist in finishing up the next handful of sharpening jobs I have to complete. So right here I have a spring stop collar for the guide rod for my Tsprof. I had these same kind of deals for my KME, but the guide rod for the KME is a smaller diameter, so those ones will not work on the guide rod for the Tsprof Cadet Pro. This is something that I definitely liked and do recommend. Highly recommend you actually utilize and use the stop collars. I will show you what I mean. All right, so this is the stone carrier, stone, guide rod, spring stop, or stop collar with a spring. Okay, so when you have your knife clamped in here, you want to adjust that stop collar so that you can't bring this down past the end of the edge. Okay, you don't want to come off the edge and then boom, the guide rod slams down onto the blade. Okay, so when you make this adjustment, it keeps you in the right range, and it's not a one-size-fits-all thing, because depending on the the blade shape, the blade height is going to depend how far you need to adjust this back or forward to be able to utilize the full range of your stone without going up onto the face of the blade with your stone. You don't want to go in past your edge, and you don't want to come out past the edge. So the stop collar on the back side prevents you from coming out past the edge and the guide rod slamming down on your edge, and that will most of the time it will cause you to have a roll in the edge, which it could be bad where it's really difficult to work out, or if you get lucky it might be something that you can work out quickly. But if that little nut right there, if that hits the blade, it's definitely putting a scratch in it, and you might end up chipping the blade. So all the chip and the roll, that's both things that can be fixed and profiled out, or whatever, but it's definitely better to avoid them. There's no need to be causing damage when your objective is to make the knife better. You're trying to sharpen it. You don't want to be working against yourself. So you definitely want the spring stop collar there, and you also want some sort of stop collar on the inside as well to prevent you from riding up onto the face of the blade, like I said. Now you don't need the spring stop collar for both. You can use a regular stop collar for the inside one because you're not going to be hitting that as much. That's just going to be there as, you know, a backup if you're not paying attention to what you're doing. But typically you're not going to be really getting that close to where you should be hitting the stop as far as when you're coming down. You're probably, you know, you're staying, ideally you're staying in between like there and there. You know, that's your safe range of operation. And you can see where the stone is kind of discolored in this area. That is because that's where the stone is worn down more. That's where I typically would sharpen. The stop collars are just a, you know, it's like a seatbelt. It's just a precautionary measure that can save you a lot of problems, a lot of headache, and might even save your life in a metallurgical way. Is that a word? Metallurgical. I don't know. Hopefully you guys understand what I'm saying. It's not like a literally whatever. I'm getting off topic. So anyways, got this new one for the Tsprof. We'll be utilizing that. The Tsprof came with the Tsprof diamond plates. They give you 5. You have F150, F220, F400, F600, and F1000. Now these do work just fine, but they don't cut the fastest. They'll get the job done, but if you're sharpening a lot of knives, you're gonna want something that has the ability to cut a little bit faster. And all the pro sharpeners that I know and talk to on a regular basis, they all have been ranting and raving about CBN stones, which, you know, good stones are expensive. Veneves, which my last stones that I was using on the KME were the Veneves Orion stones, and they're like $80 a piece, $75, $80 a piece for the 4" by 1" stones. This system uses 6" by 1", and a lot of times the stones are even more expensive. And for a set of resin bonded CBN stones, or even the premium electroplated CBN, you're looking at least $100 per stone. So that's really expensive, especially if, you know, if your set consists of 3 stones, that's $300, 4 stones, $400, 5 stones, $500. You know, most people wouldn't consider like less than 5 stones even to be a set. But for a professional sharper, you might want more options than that. So they make them in probably 10 or 12 different options for the you know, grit rating. So you can really get expensive with the stones. One of the guys actually recommended me checking out the Hapstone Start Series CBN diamonds. These are sold on Gritomatic for like $32 a piece or $34 a piece. And these are they're you know, leaps and bounds better than the stock diamond plates. Okay, they cut a lot faster. They have a lot more life to them. And I wanted to check. So I needed to get stones that were better than I needed better stones. So I needed some stones that were gonna cut faster and also, you know, be able to kind of do everything that I need, because I don't want to have to be, you know, choosing through a huge assortment of all these different stones, you know, pieced together. You know, I have one of these and one of these and one of that. You know, yeah, that's fine and all, but I wanted something where it was just, you know, straightforward and consistent. So this set, I was told, is, you know, good enough performance and good enough quality that it would be worth buying, to at least hold me over for a while until, and then I can slowly, you know, I can buy the stones that I really want one at a time, you know, as time goes on. But for the time being, this was my best and most affordable option. And these have, you know, the performance is awesome. They cut through super steels like it's nothing. They give you a very aggressive edge, tons of bite, very sharp, very useful type of edge. They do not leave you with as fine of a finish as the Veneves do. The Veneves are resin bonded diamond, and the resin, it actually has some, I guess, like some polishing characteristics to it or whatever. They kind of assist in polishing in the way the diamonds are dispersed and adhered. It makes for good performance. You know, they cut decently fast, a little bit slower, and you have to flatten them a lot and maintain them and a bunch of other crap. But they give you a very, very fine, very clean and consistent scratch pattern that, you know, you can come off the stone, and within a couple passes on the strop, you have nearly a perfect mirror. I mean, you would have to get a microscope to be able to tell that it wasn't a perfect mirror. You can get a very, very clean looking edge and very sharp edge with the resin bonded. That was, you know, I sharpened probably, I don't know, a couple hundred knives with the Veneves, and I'd been getting better and better results. Big fan of those. However, over time, they start to dish, which means the center area of the stone where you are grinding more often will actually, you know, start to get worn away. You'll actually see material remove over time because the resin is, I guess it's a softer material than, say, these are the diamonds on these are adhered to like a nickel and tin and some kind of alloy mixture, which I believe it's soft metals, but there's a big difference between soft metals holding the diamonds together than a resin, which it's just, you know, resin's gonna be much finer, much better at polishing, but it's going to also wear away easier. So it's two different things. I was really curious to see how these CBN do, and I have been really liking them. However, I only bought up to the 800 originally because I was told this is pretty much the equivalent to F400, which is the Veneve that I would finish on most. You know, that's what I got the best results with, was the Veneve F400. I also had the F800, F1200, 1500, 2000. I had a bunch after that, but I never used them because I only needed to use up to the F400, and I could do an amazing, extremely sharp semi-polished edge with that, or I could even, you know, I could get a mirror edge from the F400 if I, you know, spent a little extra time, and then, you know, with the basswood strops and gunny juice progression, it would do the rest of the work to get a perfect mirror from the F400 if that's what the customer wanted. And you know, that was the recipe that seemed to give me the best performance and best results as far as getting a really nice polish and also maintaining a lot of bite and aggression and functionality of that edge. So that's why originally this was going to be my final stone. But I have found that this stone just isn't fine enough. These are actually done with the JIS grit rating. So these are a little different than just standard American grit. The 800 is supposedly it's equivalent to F400, and F400 is equivalent to like 1200 grit or 1500 grit when you're talking about regular, you know, standard American grit rating. So yeah, it's a confusing thing, but this, which is supposed to be like 1200 grit, is well, I guess, yeah, it kind of is on par with that 400. These diamond plates from Tsprof go by the F rating, and I would say they are fairly accurate, but there's still a difference with the veneers, which I had been using. I got accustomed to how easily they polish. Not that I can't polish with something else, but a F400 resin bonded diamond veneer stone is going to get you a much finer, much better polished edge than the CBN equivalent. All right, the CBN equivalent is going to have a less fine scratch pattern, so it's going to be less polished, but it's also going to have more aggression because it's a different style of abrasive. So there's pros and cons to all of them. This is I've been using these CBN stones for what, probably going on a month at least now, maybe more than a month. No, like a month. And I've sharpened enough knives with them to know that, you know, these are broken in, and I definitely am going to want a higher stone than the 800 CBN that I have right here. So I went on Gritomatic and I purchased their 1200 CBN from the same lineup, okay? And these are all $32, $34 each. And this, I looked it up on the JIS scale. CBN 1200 is equivalent to F600, which, oh man, trying to do all this calculation in my head, which is equivalent to a little over 2000 grit, or maybe right around 2000 grit. Then you take the fact that it's the CBN, so it's a little bit more aggressive, and you can take that 2000 and assume that it's going to look at least, 500 grit lower than what it is rated at, just because it's more aggressive. I feel like I'm not doing a good job explaining all this. This video is getting long, but I was excited to get these, get this addition to my stones. And to top it off, actually, hold on, let's back up. Let's move this stuff for a second. Okay. Let's see what we have in here real quick. folks. Right here, I have, oh, I don't want to scratch it up. Is this knife going dull on me? See, my other carry today is my Z-Wear Shaman. Oh snap, this is my new stone organizer. Since I have a shit ton of stones for this now, I need a nice organizer. This is a 12 stone organizer, magnetic lid, nice folding top, really handy, and it looks nice. And you can sit on top of your workstation, you know, and you just easily go through your stones. I had a custom stone holder made for me from my buddy Micah, who now has a company called Caracal Customs. Caracal as in like the type of cat, C-A-R-C-A-L. And he makes, you know, all kinds of stuff. He's been getting big into making custom rings and stuff lately. But he's, you know, really talented. And at the time he was big into 3D printing. And he made me this custom stone organizer for my KME. This holds 4-inch stones. You know, I have Veneves here, have some Columbia Gorge Stoneworks resin bonded here, the 5 and 10 micron that I ranted and raved about, and then I have a strop down there. All right, so this, I use this organizer every day up until I got the Tsprof. Well, where is my Tsprof stone organizer box? Okay, one sec. Alrighty, so I got this box from Hobby Lobby for $8.99, and take 40% off of that, so maybe like $6. And I also bought these pieces of foam. I think they were like 12 inches, or no, 24 inch by 12 inch, or 24 by 24, I don't know, something like that, 18 by 18. And you cut it into whatever size you want. And so I did. I put in a foam top to fill in this portion of the box, and I also put a foam portion in this part of the box. And then I marked out slots for the stones, and this is what I have been using for a couple weeks to put my stones in. But this just isn't, you know, it worked, it did the job, and it was, you know, an example of how being, you know, just being a little bit resourceful, you can make do on a tight budget, at least for the time being, until you have the time or until you can afford to upgrade to a nicer option. So here we are, and I am going to be putting the original set of Tsprof stones in this box as well. Ooh, look what I just found. Look at the little corner notches. Let me see here. Okay, so these, if you see the squared out part, that is for a standard form, or the little notched out part is for an Edge Pro form factor, which means that it has the aluminum backing to it with the angled cut, and that is helps it stay in the stone holder well, or at least the, you know, it stays in the design, the Edge Pro design stone holder, which is the same that Tsprof uses. Tsprof's new stone holders can work just as well with either or, but these ones have those notches, so that is cool. It keeps them in that slot without rattling all around. So it gives you enough space that it can accommodate for stones that have a thicker backing or a thicker adhesive, which the resin bonded stones have a much thicker much thicker abrasive on top of the backing, because the resin bonded stones get worn down a lot quicker and have to be reflattened. So if they were only this much, this thickness of abrasive on top of the backing and it was resin bonded, you would only be able to flatten that maybe once or twice, or I don't know, maybe a couple more times than that, but you wouldn't get nearly as much life out of it. Then you look from the front, you can see the grit over here. Got to flip these two over. I might end up rearranging this and putting these towards the back, or I don't know yet, but you know, all the Tsprof ones are together, because the reason I'm keeping these in here is well, really, I just need the F400 through F1000. If this F1200 does not get a fine enough scratch pattern to where I am, you know, satisfied and you know, satisfied and ready to move on to the strops. If I need to get it finer, then I might have to use like the F1000, but hopefully this 1200 right here will actually, you know, do the job that I need it to. So let's see here. I may not keep these Tsprof ones in here. That's because it's extra weight that I'm going to have to be carrying. And if you guys, you know, haul your sharpening stuff back and forth to work with you every day, you would definitely know the value of just maybe a pound of weight difference, or 2 pounds. It makes a difference in the scheme of things when you have a ton of stuff that you're carrying. It's not a, you know, make it or break it, but it does make it just a little bit nicer. All right, so plenty of slots in here. Right here, I have a guided strop. This specific one is just cow leather. Let me get some more light up in here. Okay. Cow leather on an aluminum blank with 3 micron gunny juice. This started out with 1 micron gunny juice, but you know, the first, I figured I might as well do the 3 instead, with that being the first strop that I use if I do opt to use the guided strop method, which is something that I have recently recently been experimenting a little bit more with, and my opinion on guided stropping may be changing soon. You know, I always say that my sharp, you know, as my experience, as I gain more experience and sharpen more knives and try more things and then learn more and then try things again, my opinions on everything are always subject to change and evolve as I continue to evolve as a sharpener. So, yeah, have a guided strop here, 3 micron, in case I want to just use this leather, but I like stropping with basswood. And Gritomatic offers aluminum blanks that are actually anodized, so you can color coordinate and tell them apart. And then you can mount whatever strop material you would like to that blank. So I could glue leather to it, or I can glue a little piece of basswood, like, where's my basswood? All right, so this is a longer piece, but I can cut it and glue it on top. My Tsprof has a built-in thickness compensator, so I just match it up with a thickness compensator, and then I can start using these with basswood straps, because I wanted to try out guided basswood straps. So my favorite strap as of now is basswood or freehand stropping on basswood with gunny juice. But if I can get more sharpness or, you know, a better end result somehow with guided, I am more than willing to, you know, humble myself and accept guided as being a better option, as opposed to, I've always said, or I've said for a while now, that I believe that freehand stropping is far superior to guided stropping. And as of this moment in time, I still stand by that. However, I will admit that I do see it being very possible that experience and my opinions are maybe changing very soon. We'll have to wait and see. I don't want to speak too soon, but I got these because I wanted to have the option. And if I don't ever use them, well, that's I'm bound to use it. Okay, guys, I sharpen every freaking day. I'm bound to use them for something. So if I don't, why wouldn't I just mount some basswood on here and try it out? And you know, I could mount leather to it. Then you can always, you know, strip the leather or basswood or whatever off of it, sand it down, remount a new piece, and you still have nice color-coded backings. So it's just a nice option to have, and I am more than happy to keep that option in my toolbox or arsenal. So I'm gonna be pulling a couple of these bad boys out. Let's see. I will keep the 600 and 1000 in here. Then let's put my CBNs. then have my 3 micron right here. And look at that. That's much thicker than the stones. Still plenty of room. I always read reviews on things. I saw the reviews on Gritomatic for this. Somebody was saying that there is not enough space in these slots. I can't imagine, I've never come across a stone that would be too thick to get in these slots. I saw another review where someone said that their double-sided veneers even fit in this. So I don't know if that was, you know, that they were just having a bad experience with it or what, but check that out. Oh snap. That all fits in perfect. Just enough slots. That is cool. Almost like it was meant to be. So, dang. And then you put all those stuff together and you get some good weight. I bet you, could be 5 pounds, might be 4. But yeah, that stuff adds up. So, also want to show you guys this. This is a beautiful, out of this freaking world custom XM18 build that a customer of mine, well, his name's Chris. I believe he also watches the channel, so shout out to Chris. This is an absolutely beautiful build. You can tell that no expense was spared in this build. You have a beautiful Cerakote job on this sexy Wharncliffe blade. You have a Timascus handle scale, or Timascus show size scale from Metin Boss with some beautiful anno. You have titanium hardware that is heat anodized. Flip it around this way. What do we have here? We have a custom backspacer. This guy tracked down a backspacer that would work for the XM18, and I believe he said it was brass or something. So he wanted it to match and everything. He had that Cerakoted, and then he bought tritium vials, and he actually, you know, did these little cuts and used a special type of UV epoxy or something, and actually inset these tritium vials in the back of this freaking backspacer, which is absolutely insane. I've never seen somebody do that themselves. I've seen some more and more tritium stuff is popping up as aftermarket option parts and all, a little bit pricey, but and I have seen people in the groups here and there, you know, making their own kind of custom creations and all, which is really exciting. I'm, you know, excited to see what kind of you know, I'm excited to see more tritium stuff come out. I think tritium is a cool it's a cool thing to add to the style of our knives and everything. It's something that I was already familiar with because I am also into firearms. So yeah, very cool. Go ahead and flip it over to the lock side. And guys, for me, lock side is often just as good as the show side, especially on a hinder. I consider the lock side the show side almost, because the combination of these, they're called handle nuts, all right? It just looks freaking cool. Then you have that big frame lock relief cut with the horizontal milling. You have beautiful Timascus, what the hell are these? Filler tabs. And these are the spaces where you could mount the clip, either tip up or tip down. Then that is the over travel stop right there. And that is also aftermarket. Absolutely gorgeous combination right here, guys. and it is on skiff bearings. And all that time and money he invested into this knife, and who did he choose to perform the sharpening? He picked me. That blows my mind. It's an honor, and I was I was honored and very proud to be able to finish off this build for him, because this thing is, at least in my opinion, is freaking stunning. Absolutely gorgeous. Absolutely beautiful. I hope to be able to do more video on this, show you guys a little bit more of this, and go over some of the details and everything of the, you know, how the sharpening went, the angle that I chose, and all that good stuff. But this thing is ridiculously sharp and ridiculously sexy. Right here, I have two that I just finished up. Zero tolerance 0850. Amazing knife. I've sharpened one of these prior to this one, and that was probably close to a year ago now. But the last one that I sharpened was obviously on the KME, and that one I ended up having to sharpen it twice because it just didn't want to get sharp, and I couldn't figure it out. And I eventually did get it figured out, and it was all good. But this one, I did not have that issue. This thing is nasty, wicked sharp. I did do one best test with it so far, came in at 49, which is, you know, anything around 50 or less is insanely sharp. Talking double-edged razor blade status. But yeah, you can see this one came out very beautiful, and it also came out very sharp, which I intend to demonstrate in a video when I get home tonight. Right here, I have the Emerson Spec War A. This also belongs to Rick. Shout out to Rick. He sent me both of these, as well as a fixed blade. And this was actually, believe it or not, my first chisel ground blade that I ever sharpened. He told me what knives he had for me to sharpen, or what knives he was sending, and he mentioned this was chisel ground, and I was, you know, honest and upfront with him. I said, hey brother, I actually have never sharpened a chisel grind before. I'm sure I can do it. I'm sure I can figure it out and all, and I would, you know, I'd be happy to have the opportunity to do so, and, you know, the opportunity to get that experience. But, you know, I couldn't guarantee on exactly how it would come out. I mean, I could guarantee that it was going to be at least, you know, decent, but I couldn't promise that it was going to be my sharpest edge I ever did, because, like I said, this was my first time doing a chisel ground edge. And, you know, it was a little bit tricky. I try to pick up things from every knife that I sharpen. I try to learn from every sharpening experience. So I do feel like I learned a good amount while sharpening this. It is not as sharp as this guy right here, but it is still leaps and bounds sharper than it was when it came in. It's sharp enough that it is very functional and, you know, can have the title sharp. This guy is a custom fixed blade right here in A2 blade steel. This one, I sharpened this at least 2 times actually, because this one didn't want to get sharp. Real pain in my nuts. But I really got to get going. So I'm going to give you guys more on these later on. There's 2 knives that I have on the agenda for today, if I have downtime at the shop, which is only if I don't have any clients there, which means I'm not making money at the shop. So whether I have time to do both of those or not, whatever. I'm just rambling now. Anyways, thank you all for watching. I love you guys. Jesus loves you. Stay tuned, and see you guys in the next one. Peace.